Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome back to Inside the Lines. Me and Steven are in the office today, boots on ground. We got Derek in the chat. Jake is not with us this week. He is golfing in Scotland, I believe it is, or it could be wrong, maybe Ireland. I'm not sure, but he's not here. But we are going to do our best with the baseball. But the most important thing we want to do is act on some of these early prop lines spread for Game 3 of the NBA Finals. We have a few days. Might as well take advantage of it and answer all of your questions as well. Very important. Me and Steven will take a look back on Friday. It was Friday? Yeah, Friday we did a show to give out some of these picks. 2-2 night, but a good plus money win there with Luka as well. And again, a lot of the value ended up changing by the time Sunday rolled around. So just important to look at the lines early and get our plus money. And we got tons of plus money today from what I can see on the slate. So before we get into the NBA Finals, really quick, Steven and I are going to try our best to live up to the Jake MLB expectation. We have 3 strong model plays, again, from the model. And any other questions you guys have, we can answer with model value as well. But let's talk about some plus money over here in baseball.
Yeah, just so people know, I'm not well versed in how to use modern MLB statistics like exit velocity or spin rates and that kind of stuff to handicap. And when they do have bets on those numbers, we'll probably talk about them. I'm old school. I was a huge baseball fan growing up. I went to church right next to the Ravens Stadium. I told the story before. The first white man I ever met was Brooks Robinson. Shook his hands at a Kmart.
Wow.
So but again, my knowledge and love and expertise of baseball kind of stopped in around 2000 whenever Mike Messina left the Yankees, because I hate the Yankees. Anyway, so not enough about me. But what I did program a model that's fairly successful in baseball. Just that we don't have Jake's
his color commentating
filter.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with. So what I've done is I created a system where I look at obviously the best model values, and then I look for numbers that are showing really good value on Odds Jam for specific books, and then hopefully on top of that have some good trends that back it up. So the first one I'm going to go with is with the Orioles, Gunnar Henderson. We've done a lot of Dinger Tuesdays with him that he has not hit on, even though he has like 20 home runs this year.
Yeah.
So somehow we've whack-a-moled and
we're going to hit a Gunnar prop.
So I'm going to go with total bases. So plus 110 at BetMGM over 1.5. The model's at 2.2, which is what he averages on the road. So he comes in 6-2 over. And interestingly, his over percentage is much better on the road, 18-13 than at home, 15-18. He's at Tampa. So the starter for them is Ryan Pepio, who came from the Dodgers. Every year with the Dodgers, he had a higher ERA at home. Again, I don't think people mention ERA anymore. It's like xERA and all that.
No, you're cutting yourself short.
Run average is still the way I like to think about baseball pitchers. Anyway, this year has been especially bad. Tampa Bay, at home, he's at a 5.24 ERA versus 1.5 on the road. So in the model, we do weight road home splits more. And so he's obviously going to be, so this is impacting his value. Baltimore is a pretty solid favorite on the road too. So, and then this whole series against Baltimore, Tampa's bullpen's been getting rocked. So I kind of like both the starter matchup and the bullpen.
I just like Gunnar Henderson, and that's all I have to contribute to this conversation. I'm in on Gunnar.
You like his name.
That's the most awesome baseball. Your name cannot be Gunnar Henderson and not hit dingers. Like that has to happen.
Could have been like an 80s heavy metal guitar
or
something.
That too.
That's before your time.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to another play here. Not plus money, but still some strong model value that we're finding.
Yeah, Dylan Cease. We only have 1.71 earned runs projected, but which probably isn't technically good value at minus 139 is the best price. But when I looked at some of the other numbers around it, I thought that was enough to go with it. Cease is allowing 2.8 per start at home. The over's 4-1. On the road, it's 2.0, 4-4. So he's been worse at home in this stat. He's on a cold streak, so he's winless his last 5 starts. He's allowed at least 3 earned runs in each of those 5 starts, and he's been favored in 4 of those 5 starts, including one where he is almost minus 300 favorite. So this is expected to be an easy win. They're minus 220 around on the consensus line versus Oakland, but that hasn't helped them recently. And so I looked at pitchers with similar earned run per start allowed. And these pitchers, 48 starts versus Oakland. Oakland's got a terrible offense, and on the road, they're especially bad. But nevertheless, pitchers with similar profiles as Cease have gone over 1.5 earned runs in 70% of the games, 48 starts.
Oh, that's strong. Over 70%. Yeah. Our nice little stats tool. We love to see it. All right. We got one more baseball play before we get to what me and Steven know better. We're going to another plus money. Again, model value here relative to the plus 140 that we're looking at.
Well, the good thing is if these do well tonight, then, we have another quote unquote system and source for expertise. Yeah. If they go bad, then, Jake will be back next week. He's not allowed to leave after that. So,
True.
There you go. Ryan McMahon of Colorado over 1.5 total bases at plus 140. So the numbers, you're getting really good price because he's on a cold streak. He comes in 10-1 under. He's 0 for 8 his last 2 games. He's hitless in 3 of his last 4 games. But I like the fact that on the road this year, it's a plus money on less than a season average. He's averaging 1.7 total bases on the road, 15-20 over, versus just 1.5 at home, which is weird for a Colorado player, 8-20 over. Minnesota starter Chris Paddock has not been pitching well. He was pitching well late April, early May. He was 4-0, 5 earned runs in 23.1 innings. But his last 5 starts, he has allowed 20 earned runs in 27.2 innings. So I kind of like that trend. And then Minnesota's bullpen, they had a good last game, but they got rocked for the 5 previous games before that in 5 straight Minnesota losses. So hopefully McMahon breaks out of his slump in a favorable matchup.
Okay. There we go. 3 plays. We can do this. We don't need Jake. Okay. We're just fine on our own. This is a very self-sufficient group.
Plus he was, after his big 17 units and 2 straight Dinger Tuesdays, I think he was an offer. So that guy, he's no good.
Yeah, that guy's no good. All right. Let's move on to the association. We're looking at game 3. We're looking at some early props that might lose some value come Wednesday night. We got a few plays we like, a lot of plus money plays as well. Let's start with the basics here. Let's head over to the model quickly. I just want to talk about the spread. I know there's some. Actually, let's talk about the spread and then this whole Porzingis situation. So I was asking Steven earlier what changes if Porzingis ends up not playing, and you said not much.
Yeah, I think Porzingis is great, but Boston's been playing really, played well statistically, at least in the playoffs without him. And he kind of, when he's grooving, he basically makes Boston unbeatable. But we still like Boston to win around 57, 58%, even if he's out. So when it comes to this bet, quick question about baseball. Judge, we have projected for over 3 hits, runs, and RBI. So as long as the juice isn't like minus 140 or more, that's probably a good bet for Sean Evans there. Question. Mm-hmm. So in the projection, we have almost identical rebounding, turnover, and even shooting percentages in this game. So in terms of, there's no advantages across the board. So the reason why we like Boston is purely on their 3-point volume. We have both teams shooting around 35% from 3, but we like Boston to attempt 4 more. And so it translates to around a +3 advantage in the game. So I kind of like the fact that Boston won despite shooting terribly from 3, and Jason Tatum, 12 for 38 from the field in this series. That goes to show that how deep they are and how non-dependent they are on any single person.
And that Derek White should be MVP.
Or now I did get Drew Holiday. I made a whopping $10 bet on, but still plus 5,000.
Yeah,
so I'm feeling good about that. So I would go with money line here, but I would wait on it because I think the plus 105 that I'm seeing is the best price on Boston is based on the assumption that Porzingis plays, and if he's confirmed to play, then that shouldn't change. But if he is ruled out for some reason, I think that line could go to plus 120, in which case
we like it.
In our sim, we still like Boston. So that's why I would wait on this one.
Yeah. So moral of the story is we like Boston money line with Porzingis or without Porzingis. So you might as well wait and get confirmation if he's not playing to get a better line. So this isn't necessarily an act now play, but certainly want to get our thoughts out on just the obvious, picking money line here. I see a question about Peyton Pritchard. We can hit that quick before we get into some of our own plays. We are playing him in our own way.
Yeah, I do like Pritchard. The line is 1.5 assists minus 118. We have 1.7, so basically we have the exact same projection at that 1.5.
Mm-hmm. So no crazy value there. But let's talk about our one. Not to throw you off, but talk about our other Peyton Pritchard bet that we have. We do like him to make a 3 here.
Yeah, I'm just not worried about my season long low return on negative return on made 3 pointers. I'm going to go with the stronger 32 and 15 on the road. So I like that. Yeah, he does average fewer threes on the road than at home, but he's still 32 and 15 over. I like the buy low value on. I loved that this morning when it was plus 110 on DraftKings, and it's gone all the way to minus 115. Not even 4 hours later. So I don't know if that price has gotten worse.
Mhm.
So you kind of probably want to act now on this. The model has him at 1. So we like this value here. He's again buy low on his 2 and 11, 2 for 11 his last 4 games, and his one of his 2 makes with that 33-footer at the end of the third quarter last night.
Yeah. Do you think? What do you think his minutes are going to be like? I mean,
We are only projecting his normal kind of 15-minute range but I could see, even though Porzingis is obviously not the same position as him, if he's limited and they're still struggling, Tatum especially still struggling with his 3, and Pritchard might be get some more time just for his 3-point shooting.
Okay. All right, good stuff there. We like paying Pritchard. This one's certainly an act now. It was plus money now, already around minus 110, minus 115. Let's head over to Daniel Gafford around even money. Someone we were kind of hesitant to play game 1 and game 2, but it seems like he was still getting minutes regardless of Lively not being in foul trouble. So maybe he's someone we want to seriously consider now.
Yeah, I was wrong about. I thought he would have play a reduced role because he didn't do much game 1, even though Lively was in foul trouble. But then he played well, and at this point, Dallas needs a 3rd or 4th or at least a 5th scorer. And Gafford, I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, sometimes it's disturbing when the line moves against the model because then it makes me think that something's up. Usually lines move with the model's direction because everybody who's using numbers like we do is coming up to very similar conclusions. And then, but we like to generate our numbers faster than most. And that's why we are usually ahead of people. But this one steamed the other way. So I guess there's people who think that Gafford's not going to have a second straight good game. But we have him projected for 9.3 points. As a Maverick, his average at home for the season is lower, but as a Maverick, it's okay. And he's 13 and 10 over at home. He comes in 11 and 3. He had a strong game too. So the line did go from minus 122 on FanDuel at around 9 a.m., 8 a.m. this morning to plus 100 on FanDuel. So now it's got that nice coveted plus money on less than season average.
Okay. That's our favorite. Plus money on less than season average. All you can ask for. Let's talk about Drew Holiday, someone we mentioned before. Obviously had a huge offensive game last night. I think there are a few different ways to target him this time. Will he be putting up 26 points again? Probably not. But let's look at his assist here. I like this play a lot.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with 2 overs. So both of these plays are overs on plus money under his season average. I'm going to go with over his assists and over his turnovers because I think that the scenario where he plays well, he'll get 5 or more assists. And just because he's a point guard playing with the ball in his hands a decent amount, a couple turnovers. And then the other scenario is he plays really well and he gets 5+ assists and no turnovers and 1 turnover, and I get still profit overall in the 2 picks. And then the third scenario is he plays poorly. He doesn't get the assists, but he gets his turnovers, and I get plus money. So there's no scenario. It's 0% chance.
So play both Drew Holiday picks. We'll start with this.
0% chance I move both. Yeah. So again, the line here was minus 101 on Caesars, so that maybe this could go to minus money. So you might want to move now. I think that because he's been shooting well, that maybe the Mavs defense will look at him as more of a threat on offense. He's been wide open. Usually his first made 3 is wide open. So maybe they're they're respecting the other guys too much. So yeah, the turnovers, I kind of like, I do like turnover props because it doesn't mean necessarily bad, it just means you're a point guard with the ball in your hands. He averages considerably more turnovers on the road, 1.9 versus 1.5 at home. The overs well over 50% on the road versus under 50% at home. And he's kind of due. He has 0 turnovers the first 2 games. I do hope that he gets MVP because I have a whole whopping $10 riding on that.
That's big for you.
Yeah,
that's big.
It's big.
Listen, we're competitive enough that it's not about the unit size. It's just about the green check mark some days.
Yeah. You can't. I'm fortunate enough to make a living doing this, giving it out information. So I don't have to try to make my living.
I saw a question about Drew rebounds. I this morning was thinking about rebounds and assists together. I think the line's 10.5.
You know,
This has gone over in the past 6 games.
yeah, that's enough.
7 of the last 9.
Certainly wouldn't go against it in terms of it's just a hard to sustain. So the model doesn't have value at that. We had like just under 10 projected, but you know, who's to say?
Yeah.
I certainly don't hate it. I do think that I am not expecting Boston, obviously, with the money line pick to have a down game because you look at this team.
They had their bad game.
They were
last night.
That's a great point. And they were up 2-1 against the Warriors and they lost, 3 straight. So the core of this team knows that. And then Drew Holiday, his championship, they were down 0-2 to Phoenix and they won 4 straight. So this team's really aware of how fragile leads can be and how you don't want to, you gotta kick people while they're down.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot of the numbers, you notice I'm kind of, except for Gafford, I'm going on the Boston side because I think we're getting the odds makers and the public of betting as if, okay, Dallas isn't going to get swept and Dallas is going to go home and you're better at home, but Dallas isn't better at home. So we're getting prices that are based on the assumption that it's like kind of Dallas will get right. But if Dallas hadn't shot poorly, if Dallas had shot 35% from 3 yesterday and won that game, I think a lot of these lines would be a lot worse priced for Boston. And in my mind, that's not going to be the case because Boston is again focused based on their recent history and the history of the core of players.
One Dallas player I'm looking at now, which is scary because he's burnt me so many times, PJ Washington. I know that might be a popular play considering he's going back home, but just the sheer volume he's putting up, and he's 1 for 5 from deep last night, 6 of 13 from the field. It's even money to go over 14.5. There's not strong historical trends, but I have to imagine you're in desperation mode and you're going to be, maybe it's just a 3-point play. It's over 2.5 at plus money, which feels like way too much.
We have 2 threes projected. I mean, he has not been putting up huge points at home. Let's see, in the playoffs, 1-1, only 9 versus OKC. But he had those big games against OKC to close that games. First 2 games. He had those are the ones I was in Korea and you got burned. I think.
Oh, really?
Didn't. but he had done. So I don't know. The numbers don't back it. Certainly, he seems.
Yeah, and it's looking ugly.
Well, it really comes down to whether Kyrie does anything. What's going to happen? I
know. That's why I almost want to take Dallas assist props, hoping that Kyrie can score the basketball.
Well, I was lucky. I'm not lucky, but I did have Luka get his assists.
Yeah.
So without Kyrie doing much.
Yeah.
But I'm staying away from Kyrie for now.
Yeah. Let's hit one more prop that we do like here. Looking at Jason Tatum, not a lot of great things going on for him, but maybe making up for it defensively here.
Yeah. So we talked about this, the best decision we made maybe was saying don't take Tatum MVP.
Yeah, that we knew was right.
Yeah. So this plus 125 was plus 136. So you might want to on DraftKings, and DraftKings is down to plus 120. So they've bet 365 is best price now. The model gives it on 60% chance, which is what he pretty much averages 0.6 for the season. So you got plus money on under his average. I like the fact that the over is 8-8 in the playoffs. I like in this case that Tatum's shooting so poorly. Because I point this out, he seems to be the only Celtic who likes to take bad shots, who actually takes bad shots. And he seems to try to make up for it. You can see him like, oh, I shouldn't have done that fadeaway 20-footer that had no chance to go in. And then he'll exert himself in other areas, which is why he's getting a lot of rebounds, assists, and I'm hoping a block. I also found it. I think that Joe Mazzulla, the coach, he was a point guard at like West Virginia. I looked at it. He had 0 blocks his first 3 years of his NCAA career. And then he had 3 blocks his last year, and 2 of them were his last 2 games in the NCAA tournament.
Talking about Tatum?
No, the coach, Mazzulla.
What the hell does that have to do with
I have a theory that because the coaching staff seems to be doing an excellent job coaching the idea of blocking. When you think of block shots, you think of centers blocking, pressing the paint. But Boston's really blocking shots on the perimeter and contesting jump shots. And so I kind of like that. It seems to be a strategic emphasis for Boston versus Dallas.
Right.
And you saw that great Derek White block on
Yeah.
Kyrie
I was
early.
like putting sheets on my bed and I heard it from the other room and I didn't realize at that point how many he had. And I was like, Steven's going to cash.
Yeah. He cashed his blocks and
But
steals
yeah.
in the first
Well, there's
quarter.
actually a question about that in the chat. A few questions. Same line, over 1.5 blocks and steals. Again, do we like it in this game?
I'm sure we do. We have right at 1.98. What is the line on it on blocks?
I think it's 1.5. I mean, I can double check.
What's the juice on it? Is it like?
It is.
You know what? Let me.
Oh, minus 220.
Let me.
It's minus
That's the
2.
best price is minus 220.
That's the only place you can find that, and then you can find over 2.5 at plus 150.
Yeah. The interesting thing is I know you hate this new view of mine, which I love.
As long as you explain everything so no one has to try to strain their eyeballs.
Oh, that's no fun. That's been my whole MO is to just try to confuse people with talking fast and throwing like a blizzard of numbers at you and helping assume that. And then let's face it, parlay into the whole Asian guys are smart. And so you just like BS my way into any, thinking that I know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, not this minus 200. That's why I didn't go with White.
What about, would you take the 2.5 at plus 150? What did he have last night? Like 5?
Yeah.
He had like 3 steals alone.
Yeah, he had 2 blocks and 3 steals. I think the blocks might be the better. What's blocks?
3 steals, 2 blocks.
What's his blocks alone?
I can look.
Because that we have him at, he is a leading shot blocker at a guard. If it's minus 222 range minus for over a half, then we would probably put him closer to 80% to have a block. And the price is around 67, 68%. So we would have value on him to block a shot. I know people have the concerns about the plus, betting a minus 200 as if it's not fun. But
well, I mean, so maybe we don't love blocks and steals, but we think there probably could be some good value on just blocks in general. Yeah. Another question here, going back to the well again with Luka, over 9.5 assists is the line now. Do we like the idea of that again?
We're still at our same projected assists as we were the other game when it come down to 8.5. So
it's plus 102. It's around even.
Plus 102. Yeah, why not? The model wouldn't say yes,
but and I like the idea of the role player. I mean, hopefully just Kyrie alone playing better could I mean, if he could get 11 with Kyrie playing the way he did, then I have to imagine he could hit double digits again.
Yeah, then none of the other players, none of the players seem to be playing that well, and then he still hit that.
Yeah.
So that's always good.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at the recap screen here. I'll definitely still take a look for some questions. Oh, I saw PJ over 6.5. Did we go over that for rebounds?
We have under.
Yeah, but
rebounds.
Derek pointed out he's gone over it the last 3 games.
4 of his last 5.
Yeah.
Rebounding well. No, it's one of those deals where when players start doing, significantly more than they average all season, the model doesn't usually catch up.
Yeah.
So the model has the strongest PRA value on the board is probably his under, but I didn't recommend that based on the fact that he's the one, not Luka Mav, who seems to know what he's doing.
Right. All right. Now let's take a look at what we got going on so far. We're going with the Celtics money line again. We are going with Daniel Gafford, Drew Holiday, turnovers and assists. We love to see it. Okay. Can't lose on Drew Holiday this way. We got Tatum. We got Peyton Pritchard. I like that play a lot. We got 3 MLB plays in the name of Jake. And if this goes well, I cannot wait to tell him about it. And even though we aren't as MLB wizards as Jake, the model is proven to do well, to be successful. And these are all great model value plays. Tomorrow, we will go over some more baseball. We're going to find some good ways to talk about it and some WNBA. We got 3 WNBA games tomorrow that I'll be giving out while we have some time off before Wednesday's game. But if you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out to us. Good luck with your MLB bets tonight. We will need it as well. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.